Today's video, we're going to talk about how PPC consulting doesn't work out like you think it does or will. If you're planning on hiring an actual PPC consultant to make your online advertising efforts better, more efficient, or whatnot there. I'm going to tell you exactly why that is on this video in a non-biased way. Coming from somebody who's an actual PPC consultant sometimes. It's just one of the hats that I have at our guaranteed PPC firm where we're offering contingency results on ad campaigns at our firm. So with that said, I will tell you just how much you can get from a PPC consultant because it's not totally worthless, even though the value is quite low, and why just sole answer of hiring a consultant to tell you what buttons to push in your account and then that leading to millions of dollars of results with your ad account after that is not going to get you at all to where you want to go there. Nowhere near the right answer or best answer for you to be able to do that. So I'll tell you what your alternatives are and how much more money you can make with them. If you watch to the end of the video, an actual case study where I actually show the results of somebody who thought that they wanted just a PPC consultant versus somebody to just run the ads all the way through for them, you will see, even though one's quite a bit more money than the other, it still pays for itself times 100, and why you will want to go this other direction versus just the consultant route, which a lot of people get confused by and just want to do that, which is why I'm making the video here today. I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, a online advertising agency that guarantees results to their clients. We do not charge our clients a management fee until they get to a certain minimum lift in the profitability of their ads up front, in addition to what they already have going or on a new campaign that they want to start up. With that information, the quality of the information you're getting here is solid because it comes from an ad agency owner and key strategist there that actually is guaranteeing results for their clients on an ongoing basis, and of which we have dozens of clients in which we have to do so. So with that said, getting into the content here, getting basic instructions from a quote unquote PPC consultant is like getting instructions on how to build a house, okay? You damn well know that if you got general contractor and you call them up and you say, hey, I just want some advice on how to build my own house. Will you come out here and do it? Probably they're gonna go tell you, get lost. But even if you did have, you convinced them, hey, I'll pay $1,000 an hour and you got somebody willing to do it, the information you're getting is almost totally worthless. Why is that? Because there are small nuances in actually building a house that you cannot convey in a 1-hour consulting session or a 10-hour consulting session. What people do at our firm in the PPC world is they come to me, they say, like, what are your fees? XYZ is the fees. Oh, what if I just hired you to be our consultant? Just tell us what to do, we'll do it. And I'll say, okay, fine. I'll tell them exactly what I'm telling you on this video here today, which is that's usually not going to get you the results that you want. Not because I'm trying to sell you on full services. It's just there's too much minutia that actually matters in getting you the results, that telling you the campaign that's going to work without all the rest of the information on exactly how to execute it, like exactly all the way through. The information I'm going to tell you about which campaign to run is worthless because it is so technical nowadays to run an online advertising campaign through Google, Facebook, Bing, /Microsoft. You could have one small detail left out that you just did not get when executing that strategy that I told you works flawlessly, guaranteed every time if you set it up. You will not make any money whatsoever. And obviously with ads, it's not like most stuff where if you hire a tennis coach, they could give you information you're almost for sure going to do better at tennis once you get that coach to help you or that consultant to help you. With PPC, it's either you do it well enough for the ads to pay for themselves after all your business expenses and the cost of the ad spend and the cost of the consultant and there's profit left over, or you wasted your whole time trying to get the ad campaign to work. You wasted your money trying to get it to work and wasted ad spend, your time, lost of opportunity, all of it. It either has to be so good or it's worth nothing. It's actually worth worse than nothing because you lose money. The information has to get you so much results, certain cost per lead, ROI, or it's worthless. More than half of the results in what you're doing is in the minor details on getting every little checkbox you need checked, every small little detail, and they all have to line up. Just to give you some comparison here, on a typical Google search campaign we run for a client, there's an entire checklist that we have to do that in order to get that search campaign to work profitably, literally one of them is screwed up, you are not going to make any money on that campaign. It could be advanced location settings. Are you going to target people in your area, searching about your area, or just in your area by itself? Are you going to turn on search partners or not? Are you going to turn off the display network or not? Are you going to run broad match versus phrase match versus exact match? How are you going to do the exact or negative keywords? Are you going to start out with negative keywords? There's like so much you have to know. And you only know all this stuff after you've done it every way wrong and found out the only way that it works. It's literally like that with most advertising and marketing that you do. And you may say, well, okay, you're listed it all out for me right here. Why can't you tell me? And yes, you can. Okay. That said, if there was one way that always worked for everybody, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing here at my agency. I would write a damn book. Here's how to make millions at PPC. And I would sell the book and I wouldn't do any work for clients, and that I would be a millionaire and I'd retire and let a book publisher do the work of what I need to do with clients to get them the results. The reality is we know that that's not the way. There's not one book you can read that's going to tell you exactly how to set up a search campaign profitably every time. And for that matter, there was that book, it wouldn't be profitable for very long because all your competitors would buy it, they would do it, and then there's no edge anymore. It always takes going further than somebody else. And a lot of that comes from hidden knowledge, esoteric knowledge that you have that the competitor doesn't have, and therefore the information awareness gives you the edge to get more out of a click than your competitors. So your ad space that you're paying XYZ for, and they have to pay XYZ for, gets you a better return on it than them. Therefore, you can afford to be there, and the other 99 people in your niche business can't afford to be there anymore. And you make all the millions and they don't, and that's it. In other words, niche to niche, there's variance there, which is why I always, by the way, take so much beef with people that have YouTube channels that talk about how to do ad strategy. They run a couple campaigns, or they ran a couple campaigns before. You could have said, I made millions of dollars setting up an ad campaign for my tennis court installation business. That's great. However, what you're saying is only going to apply to, let's say, 20% of businesses out there. The other 80% of businesses that are trying to run a similar campaign as you, it won't work unless you have other tweaks to it. So therefore, the information you're sharing about that campaign isn't useful to the greater market. There's always areas of gray with this. The certain strategies that I use, when I tell you it works, I'm able to tell you, okay, it kind of works here and here, but not here, but not here, but here as well, because I've ran that same campaign 500 different times. So I basically can tell you which times it worked, which times it doesn't. When you're a consultant, yes, even someone like myself, when I consult a business on how to set up their campaigns the right way, look at all the similar businesses as you and what worked there and give you the advice. Even as good as I am, I don't always can tell and predict the future with 100% accuracy. I'll tell you what to do, but you still have to do it, and then you have to see if it works or not. And then a lot of times it will work kind of, but you have to make a tweak here, and then you have to watch what happens, then you have to make another tweak, and then watch what happens. And then after about 20 times of making small, tiny little adjustments to what you did, it now works. Very rarely, unless you sell something with super high demand and very low competition, is there just going to be a turnkey way that I could tell a client, do X, Y, and Z, and you'll be a millionaire. Every campaign is going to be a little bit different than each other. A lot of it will be the same, but the other stuff that isn't the same is the difference between the campaign netting a positive ROI for you and scalable versus not. Just like you cannot ask a builder to tell you how to build a house, you cannot build a multi-million-dollar a year netting ad campaign for yourself by asking an ad expert with 10 million years of experience how to build an ad campaign that will work for your business. In fact, it's going to be even less so because, frankly speaking, similar to the house situation, every house is different, so they can't give you a plan of how to build a house. But even if you were able to tell them, this is the type of house I would build, that I want to build, and them giving you instructions, as you pour the foundation, there's going to be unforeseen that can come up, and you need somebody who's seen 10,000 foundations being poured, what to do in that specific instance of that problem going on, how to deal with it, at that exact time. The house is entirely built and it's too late. At least with the campaign, we can stop the campaign and make an adjustment. With the house, I guess you can't really do that because after the foundation is there and you built the house on top of it, you really can't go back. Really the results is having the trained mind to know basically what to do, the stuff that's most likely to work so you can save most of your time up front. But then after that, the rest of the 20% that you ain't going to be able to predict, being able to have the experience to know how to make all the other micro adjustments, that's where the real money is. You can't, just like you can't get instructions on how to build a house from a builder and then save money, because that's what it's always about. People hire consultants because they don't want to pay a PPC agency to actually manage their ads. They think it's going to be cheaper. Most of these consultants that you hire on top of it don't even have any damn business experience to properly consult you or advise you as a client on what to do. This is where the major crux of everything I talked about is. You can get and save a bunch of time hiring a consultant on what to do if you wanted to work hard and have some basic PPC knowledge itself. But most of you guys as a business owner, I hear it all the time from my clients, they tell me, oh, we hired this other company and I knew more about PPC than they did. And that's saying a lot because they've managed only their campaigns before. These PPC agencies hire these people that have quote unquote PPC experience, but they never ran a business of their own their whole damn life, or an owner of an agency or whatnot doing PPC consulting. Doing PPC successfully has a lot more to do with business strategy than it does with how to run a PMAX campaign or a search campaign. There's a lot of pre-planning that has to go right before you ever get to how to set the search campaign up for the business that, frankly, that's the easy part. So a PPC consultant that helps you set up a search campaign for your business, that's just like the last little bit, if you will. A PPC could actually help you listen to what you're trying to do with your business and analyze, should you even be doing PPC? If you're doing PPC, which platform you should be on the platforms that you're on, what type of content does well, of the content that does well, how are you gonna track it all? What cost per lead are you going for? Out of the leads you get, how are you gonna close those leads? Of the leads you close, how are you gonna do an upsell program to make the cost of the leads pay for itself? When you make a sale, are you going to get the sales data into your account so you can then use the sales data to improve your ads? There's so many things that you need to do, that you need to think about to actually get that campaign to work. The campaign itself is just a small piece of the overall what you actually have to do to get the results. For that matter, I mean, I'll just say, it's going to piss people off, but most PPC consultants are just failed business owners. They tried to run a business, they could not make it work because they weren't smart enough. And they started up a PPC consulting agency to tell you how to run your business when they can't even run their own business themselves. Therefore, they can't offer you all this other advice that is tied to making the PPC successful. I can confidently say when I work with my clients, I've ran businesses successfully in the past. I have businesses that don't have nothing to do with our PPC agency that are doing extremely well and are growing by double digits every year, because I understand, and it's because I understand PPC inside and out, but also how to set up things, how to do upsells, cross sells, how to understand how to write, good email copy to go with what we're doing, and all the other marketing things that you have to know about marketing as a whole. And then how to manage money and all. There's a lot more to just running an advertising program for your business than just understanding how to set up a search campaign. That's literally one tiny component to all of it to make it all work. That's also why at our firm, when we consult clients, not everybody is successful, because I can set up a good campaign, but if you don't know about closing leads, upselling, understanding how you need to manage money so that the ads don't get turned off and on, because when they get turned off, it screws up your momentum, all this other stuff. I can only do so much just knowing what I know and only having the ability to control one small part of it. Just knowing how campaigns work is not going to nearly enough to get you in the right track with what you need to do if you're trying to make millions of dollars a year running ads profitably for your business, okay? I will tell you the main things that you're going to need to know to make that happen here on the next part of this video. Before I do though, you can save yourself a lot of headache. Instead of just thinking the cheap, easy answer, I know you want it to be cheap. Everybody wants it to be cheap. It's human nature. They want to spend a little before the big result happens. The big result doesn't happen, they've only lost a little bit of money. Good PPC campaigns that actually work, they've had a lot of time and planning on them before they ever ran the ads for them to work. We're going to try it a little bit, and then if it works, we're going to do more. Is just a recipe for you not to make any money, so to say. That means hiring somebody to do all this research, or you're doing it yourself, spending 100, 200, 300 hours up front before you run a single ad to do the research, write really good ad copy, write custom landing pages, set up a really good tracking system, including a revenue tracking system to track how much sales and ROI you're getting from each thing that you're doing, and tying it all together and having a really good remarketing program so everybody who hits the site gets really good remarketing as well to make everything work. Having somebody who's not just saying they're good at PPC, but a really experienced experienced, 10 plus year experienced PPC person managing the whole thing and managing it knowing that you're not going to make money for the first few months on top of all that, to gather data, get history with your ads so the ad platforms take you seriously as an advertiser. Then you break even, then you get to the next level, increasing your sales results 10% a month, and you scale the results so that 5 years down the road, you're making the $1 million a year that you want. But all this other had to happen up front, and you had to spend a lot of your time to make it happen or money up front to make it happen to get to the break-even point. Once you get to the break-even point, it all pays for itself. It's awesome. Everybody wants to get to that right away. But the people who actually make it work in a competitive market, or they got other people doing what they're doing, they had to do a lot up front just to get the ads and landing page and funnel and all that set up right, and they had to run their ads for a few months, usually to get the data that they need going and the history what they need going from their ads to make it profitable to even get to the break even. And because all that is what it takes to get it starting out to get things to work, 9 out of 10 people who run ads for their business don't ever make any money because they want to get right to the part where it makes a profit right away. And if it doesn't, they give up and they say Google's a scam or whatever. If you are serious to make a profit from your ads and scale to millions of dollars a year in sales profitably for your business, you are going to need to know these 5 things. You could hire someone like myself who set up hundreds of campaigns to answer these questions for you and figure this stuff out so that when you get to the point of running those ads, finally, it will just work. Thought properly through these 5 things up front that you need to make a campaign successfully. Or if you are in a niche market that we've already operated in, we've worked hundreds of niche markets in the last 10 years running this firm. If you're in plumbing or foundation repair, or if you sell printer toner or whatever, and we've done it already, which are all places we've worked, we can give you the winning ad, landing page, campaign template, all of it that works for your niche market. Because once it gets down to the niche level, practically speaking, I can give you a winning formula that you copy paste into your account. And if we've worked in your niche market already, you would be silly to not just buy that from us, because you really can copy paste and a consultant can just say, here you go, just do this and you're going to be successful. We could sell you those templates for a one-time fee and you'll get the results that you want already. Or, the smart thing to do would be, if you're not really making the money you want in your business, you start another business, starting with the template we know to sell that product or service profitably up front, and you save yourself a hell of a lot of time to get to the goal of making millions of dollars a year for yourself already. We've had many people buy our templates already, and I keep bringing them up on this channel because they're very popular and nobody really else is doing this. If you don't want to break your back to do these things, this is what we do, and it comes from somebody who spent 20 years doing online marketing already to understand and ran businesses to understand at a high level what I'm telling you here that you have to do to actually put the things together before you build anything to get the funnel that you need to funnel customers into your business profitably. And so $1 in ads turns out at least $5 in sales for you to run a scalable ad campaign that build up ad spend and your sales keep going up as a result. But here are the 5 things that you need to evaluate up front before you run a single ad, before you think about even a single campaign to run. The first thing you got to know, which may sound silly, but I'm telling you, so many people don't even do this simple thing up front. Who the hell is your customer? If you are a plumbing company, instead of just saying, I want plumbing customers, why don't you go ahead and go into your books and find out and rank the most profitable services you do by service. Is it drain calls? Is it backed up toilet service? Is it sink installation? Find the most profitable item on that list in terms of job size, in terms of profit margin, whatnot, and then you understand who you're going after. But not only that, once you figure that out, that's just half of the equation. Who is the person who buys, if you're talking about drain opening, okay, who buys drain opening? Is it somebody who's 18 years old? Are they 35 years old? Is it male or female? That is the person calling. Are they from a rich neighborhood, poor neighborhood? Are they in a house or a condo? You need to do as much research as possible, which if you've already got a business that's been running already, this is easy because once you get to where you know what service you're going to go after like that, starting out, which you should always go after the most profitable thing you can up front because you're going to get to profitability as quick as possible. You might as well do the most profitable thing first, as why the hell not would you? If you take those customers you had in the past that match that service, if you will, you go to a data expansion company, that's literally what it's called. You give them your email list or phone number list of those exact customers, and you say, give me as much information about these customers as you possibly can. Axicom is one company that does this probably better than anybody else that I've used, and they'll tell you, okay, of your customers, hey, they're mainly all 35 plus, and they come from an income area of at least the top 10% of income earners. And they also like fast food for some odd reason. You'll find some weird like that out when you do this. You find out as much as you can about those customers up front. Then on top of that, you can go out there and do research on people who have bought drain opening before and left a review on somebody else from your competitors. You can see what they said, what they like, what they didn't like. You can also talk to your your salesmen, see what questions they ask, what do they want, what do they don't want, what's important to them. Do all that research. Now you know exactly what pays, that is, what service pays big for you, who buys it specifically on a very technical level, and what do they want to hear. Once you've done all that, now you're in a firm place to build a PPC campaign from once you've done the rest of these things still, which is once you've got that far, you can ask yourself, what platform do they want to get on? Do they want to run ads on TikTok ads? Do you want to run Facebook ads? Do you want to run Google ads? Do you want to run LinkedIn ads? Do you want to run ads on X.com? There are so many places to run ads for yourself online. Reddit, all kinds of places. Why just randomly pick one? Oh, because your friend said it? Well, that's a dumb idea. Yeah, your friend might be making a lot of money and that can contribute to where you decide, but at least think about the other options first. That's the reason why you're going to think about who your true customer is that you truly, truly, truly want up front before anybody else. Do you want these customers? Because then you can see where they're most likely to be populated. Is it Twitter? Is it LinkedIn? Where is it? Then you could pick that platform. For that matter, it's not really though, that's a little bit of a simplification because there's two places to advertise online. There's search engine ads where people are already looking to buy, and then there's everything else basically. And most people will start out on search engines because your sales process can be very mediocre and you can make money with the leads you generate from there or sales you get from there versus anybody else where you're actually interrupting them. But either way, you got to ask yourself, because in some instances, what you'll find is, such as we had a client who sells fasteners, okay? The big money is in people that are putting up together solar arrays, okay? That buy the big orders. Well, you could just go after anybody who wants fasteners, what the average person would do, or you could say, you know, this small section of customers is way more profitable than anybody else's. We're going to go after them. We can't get them on Google necessarily, or we can, but there's not enough volume there really. If we go after them on LinkedIn now, okay, and we figure out how to give them information, help their business, how to put these things in, how to put these solar arrays in and get their attention that way, and then seed information or weave information about fasteners in with it so that we brand ourselves. Once we got their attention, we can tell them that there's a guaranteed way to save on their fasteners for their operation. We can get them to download a form, which we can then have a salesperson call, and then we get the big order. If you didn't think about who your customer should really be up front, you would have never got to that and save yourself tons of time. Even though that second process versus going to Google search to get customers, going to LinkedIn, it's a lot more steps. Each sale makes you 50 grand and you can get to millions a year for your business way sooner and way easier actually once that funnel is set up than going after Google search ads where you're going to get, you know, these customers who are spending an average of $50 a time, not 50,000. And naturally you can get in front of a lot of different customers on Facebook and you'll probably be able to get in front of your customers in more than one place effectively. Facebook, Google, Bing, all of it. You should think about where's the most likely place to get customer if you can first and go there. Then once you got that figured out, what should be your budget, KPIs, timelines, and so forth be? A lot of people have no clue what they can pay for a lead or what their ROI needs to be or any of that, which is just absolutely ridiculous to understand that to this day that this is still happening in 2024. But you got to understand that, like, if you're generating leads, this is what I'm referring to here, but if you're generating leads, how many leads do you need to be profitable? Okay, well, I don't know is what people will generally say, and then I'll force them to figure it out. Come on. You know, what is it? What's your typical close rates like? Oh, that depends because of this and this. Well, go ahead and you divide the total leads you've got in the last year by the total sales you got. What's that number? 14%. Okay, well now we know. And then you go ahead and you ask them, okay, how much do you earn from a customer in terms of lifetime value from a customer? Oh, I don't know. Well, what, you know, it depends. If you divide all the revenue that you've had in the last 3 years divided by the total unique customers you've had, or, you know, the subsection of customers that we really want to go after here, what's that number? $2,374. Okay, well that's your lifetime value of a customer. Then you find out what your overhead is, your gross overhead to deliver that product or service. Again, people make it they overcomplicate it. Well, after parts and labor, what does it cost to deliver that thing? Okay, then you take that times the lifetime value of a customer times the closing rate. Now you know what your break-even point is on the cost per lead on the front end with your campaign to be at break-even. And you need to have that before you start running ads. Because guess what? If you don't do that, you're going to get 6 months into running this campaign you want to run, and you're going to scratch your head and you're going to say, I wonder if this is even making money for me or not. And then you're going to have to do all that work anyway. Because what people want to do is they want to run the ad and they want to check their bank account later and they want to see the bank account have exploded. If it hasn't, they're going to say, oh, the ad didn't work, or I can't afford to do this anymore. Or they'll wake up one day in a bad mood and they say their ads don't work and then they shut them off. And they certainly could have been working. You know, an ad campaign that's successful versus not can be the difference between making $100 a day and $120. You can't just use that method, the bank account checking method, to know if the ad worked or not. You have to know what your cost per lead needs to be. And if you're generating sales through e-commerce, you got to track your offline phone orders with the online. A lot of people don't do that. But bottom line, you got to know there has to be a clear goal, and you got to know where the goalpost is. You got to know, okay, this is where it's profitable. This is not. This is. No gray area. Once you have that, and then on top of that, understand that it's going to take you time. People want right freaking now. They want their ads to work right now. I can't wait. It must work now. Most campaigns aren't going to work that way unless you're selling something with high demand and low competition, or it's 10 times better than the competition. If it's not, you're going to have to slug it out with the rest of the people that even when you have good ads and everything else set up the right way, you got to run ads for a while, find the 10% that works, and then focus on that. And you got to spend money up front, and that usually means running your ads at a loss for months before it ever works, just to burst your bubble on this. In other words, just be prepared that it's going to cost you money. I always talk about on this channel, invest what you can afford to lose. If you can afford to invest $1,000 a month into this campaign you want to run, it made you no money for the next 3 years. Then you know that should be your starting budget, basically, because you're not going to pressure yourself and rush the system. People invest what they can't afford to lose, or they just are their expectations are through the roof. They expect it to work right away. They expect, okay, I'll invest this month, and then by the second month, I'll be making enough to afford the ad spend in the second month, and that rarely ever happens. Why not invest with the worst case scenario in mind? It may not work for 3 years. As long as my sales are growing each month a little bit more than what it was, even though I'm not at my number yet that I need to get at, I know eventually I'm going to hit my break even, and then after that, everything I paid to get there is going to be like nothing. I'm going to make that back each month on year 3 or 4, and then just work the process. You run the ads, you find out the 10% that works, now it's profitable. So be prepared to lose money up front, basically. And then once you got that out of the way, then you're ready to find out what's your way to measure all this. Now that you know exactly what your cost per lead needs to be, how are you going to track it? You got to track the phone calls, form fills, live chat, text leads through SMS messaging. Like I talked about for e-commerce, a lot of the guys aren't going to track their phone orders if they also take orders through the phone, which most of the big orders are going to come through the phone, not through the shopping cart. Well, if you're not going to take that into picture, guess what? You're going to make really dumb decisions with your ads, and then you're going to optimize for the least profitable customers, which you don't want to do. Get a system set up, and I don't care what you have. There's always the way to track what you need to track. There always is. So you can't say, well, I can't track it because this my business is different, whatever. It's not true. Know how to track what you need to track. Reach out to me at my agency and I'll tell you exactly how to track it. It's not an excuse. So you got to know what your numbers need to be up front before you run any freaking ads. Then you need a way to track it so you know exactly if you're getting it or not getting it. Once you've done that, then your final step is, what's your offer? What are you going to offer to these people that's going to get them to say, I have to buy that now, or I have to respond to that right now? Because if it's not that good, you're going to struggle to make money, or you're not going to make nearly what you want. So if you're talking about search engine advertising, it's how do I look like I have the best hammer versus the other hammers that are there? That's what it's generally going to take. And you got to still know how you're going to present it so it's the best looking hammer there. It's an unbreakable hammer. It offers 2-day shipping with the hammer. You're running a July special, it's 20% off. So you go buy this hammer, it comes with a sale. So you get a better value. You do all the research you need to figure out how to make it seem like your hammer is the best. If you're interrupting people that are looking for how to find the best sledgehammer to buy, and you're going to have an ad that shows up for them while they're doing that research on YouTube, on a website, whatever, in front of them with a banner ad or whatnot, which we do lots of that here at our firm. And frankly, there's 90% of the money to be made in a market interrupting people than there is just being there at the last second right before they buy the product or service. A lot of people don't recognize that, and they never get to the other 90% of it because they don't know how to interrupt somebody effectively. Or they try it and they just say, here's a hammer, $4.99, and they think that somebody watching a video about how to buy the best hammer is going to buy that from that ad, and that's just dumb. That's ludicrous. You find a way to make that hammer enticing for somebody that's been interrupted while doing their research. This hammer here will hammer better than any hammer that you've ever seen. Boom, show a dramatic demonstration. Then say, you don't believe me? Here's every other hammer in its price class tested. Boom, 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 boom. Show every other hammer that they could be considering that it's possible to buy. Then you've proved to them it's the best hammer. That's the type of consumers want, but business owners don't want to do because they're lazy or they're afraid of what their competitors will do or whatever. It's not that hard to find out what your customers want or would like that they can't find in your market. It's the same information that's going to help you build the better product, but it's also the information that's going to tell you how to explain that your product's the best. So you find an offer that will get their attention every time. Then when you did the research to know exactly who you want and who they are, it's easy to come up with an offer. And if you don't know if it's the right offer, you run an ad and you test the offer. What offer is going to get the person that I need that's 35 and over 100,000 in income and from Ohio and likes fast food and everything? The more you know about the customer, the better your offer can get now. The reason why I bring all this up is because a PPC consultant typically is not going to take you through all this stuff before you run an ad. They're just going to say, hey, you know what? We'll run a search campaign. And And it fails miserably because you never did all this prep work up front to understand, should you be running a search ad? The search ad, should it be the product itself that you're marketing? Or should it be something that tells them that, an ebook that tells them how to buy a hammer effectively? Or should we be marketing to people that are in the top 10% of income demographic, or everybody, depending, no matter what their income? All of these details matter as to whether this campaign is going to be successful or not. And what they want to do, because they're lazy, that is the PPC consultants, they'll want you to throw a bunch of money at it and see if it works, doing it the lazy way because it's no skin off their back, versus the more research you do back here, up front before you run any ads, and the more prep work you put into your ads and landing pages to focus on what your customer wants to hear up front, the less time and less money it's going to take to hit the break-even point where the ads are paying for themselves already. So you can actually, and PPC softwares take it to the whole nother level. They'll just run your ad forever at a loss to find the 0.0001% of whatever it's doing for you that works, and then narrow it down. But you're going to waste $1 million worth of ad spend before you ever found the results that you're looking for. Versus here, this cuts down on waste and time. So if you really want it to work fast, like everybody does, you do more work here and it'll work faster. But people don't like this because they were so excited about running their ad, they just want to run it. They can't wait. And then it fails, and then, but that was never going to work. And if it were that easy, their competitor would have already been doing it. There's no opportunity there if it was easy because somebody else would have already did it already. So the PPC consultant, if you actually had a good one that could tell you what I'm telling you here, the information you wouldn't necessarily want to hear, that is, it takes a lot of work up front that either you have to do or you're going to pay them to do, and it's going to be 200 hours of research and building ads and writing ads and making landing pages and all that just before you run a single ad, and therefore it's going to cost you $15,000, not an hour of their time for $300, but $15,000. You would actually at least have a chance of having the results that you want in a competitive market. Then on top of it, you have to run the ads, and you're still going to have to make a tweak after another little tweak after another little tweak that you can't predict every little tweak that you're going to have to make before you run the campaign, and that's going to cost you another $15,000 in hourly help from that same person before the ad hits profitability. And then you're looking at $30,000 to hit profitability, and that's not what people want to hear. The consultant knows what you want to hear, which is you hire me for 2 hours and you're going to make money, baby. And they take your money laughing at you all the way to the bank. When you finally realize they don't know anything, And that's how most of this business works. You can find a consultant that actually has business experience and the PPC experience because both of them are basically tied together. And that's so rare. For that matter, if they do have both, they're probably going to be hundreds of dollars an hour more than what you want to pay. Our hourly rate at our firm now is $4.50 an hour. Next year, we're going to be upping that to $6.50 an hour if you want an hour of my time to do PPC consulting. Why is that? Because I would be better off running the business that you're in or another business if, with the skills that I have that are so rare, to have this knowledge to work through these problems to find an ad campaign that's going to work, I'd be better off doing something else than consulting, doing PPC consulting, so to say. So somebody who has all the experience, take you through this properly, isn't going to be $100 an hour, $200 an hour. It's going to be even more in today's environment, hundreds of dollars an hour. For that matter, to sum this up, you're not going to want them to do all the work because it's very expensive to hire that top guy to do everything. Yes, it's going to take 30 hours, and at $500 an hour, it's way too much. The ideal situation, going full circle on this, is to have that guy come up with a plan that has a team behind him or her, knows how to execute those strategies because they've been working together for years, and that other team isn't charging $500 an hour. They're charging $50 an hour. And you get the blended rate of both the team and the strategists working together, so the overall rate's more like closer to $75 an hour. And you're getting the whole result that you need at 20% the cost. So whereas the PPC consultant can't do everything unless they're hands-on all the way through the process, and that being expensive, your best bet is an actual managed service that you get the strategist with the people that are supporting him or her working together, and that's where the PPC agency that does reoccurring monthly service and attention to your account comes in, and you're going to get the best value there. It's going to be cheaper, and frankly, that's what you need to make it work because you can't account for every single contingency in the campaign you're running. You need lots of adjustments to it once it launches, and you need a lot of work up front just to plan and build the thing out initially if you ever have a half of a chance for the ad to hit the certain cost per lead ROI you need up front. And if you are truly set on doing this stuff for yourself, which if you can't afford to hire a PPC consultant that isn't hundreds of dollars an hour, probably at least $200, if not closer to $500 an hour, you should really be, and this isn't to be facetious here, it's really to your advantage to just roll up your sleeves and figure it out for yourself because you're just going to get a faker. People fall for this scam all the time that is hiring cheap PPC people to do what they want them to do because they don't want to do it themselves, but they don't want to pay a lot. You're just going to get scammed again and again and again. And I know because I talk to people who've hired not one or two, but 3, 4, 5 people before they ever got here because they want so damn bad for it to be cheap. And it's not cheap. Anybody knows what they're doing isn't selling their time for cheap. They're just not. You either do it yourself or you pay the big money. Unfortunately, that's the way that it is. But anybody can do all this stuff themselves. It's just going to be a lot of learning and then trial and error. All the information you need to learn is on this channel. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, you absolutely should. The information you need, I've offered it to you and I can give it to you because I spend 40 hours a week doing ad testing and strategy at our firm to find out what works or what doesn't work. And I give you what you need to know as a result of that for free, which is unique because most of the information that you see on YouTube and on the web comes from somebody who runs a couple campaigns that don't have that overall experience you need to know that what percentage of the time strategies work and don't work for you to actually have the advice you need, like I talked about at the start of this video. You should also, by the way, I've got a great blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog where you can find supplementary information and specifically the strategies we're using to guarantee results for our clients. If you wanted to know how we're doing that, you can find that information there. In addition, with screenshots, with everything you need to replicate these strategies for yourself. If you like the channel, you're going to like the blog as well. And if you have any questions, by the way, about anything I am talking about here or any marketing or ad related question, feel free to leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. With all that said, that gives you the red pill, if you will, on what it is that you really need to know to make make millions of dollars a year running ads successfully for your business. There's a lot more to it than people think. And the people that are trying to make it too simple are just mainly trying to sell you something, or they just don't know any better or can't, or they don't know, or what have you. There's a lot of planning that goes into it, and if it didn't, then everybody would be rich Everybody would start up their little company, their little ad campaign, and they would be rich. So you got to get realistic with yourself. Anybody can absolutely still do it because most of the people that you're competing with are very lazy. They're not going to use this information even though if I gave it to them for free because they're lazy and they're arrogant. So it's all there for you to take. All you got to do is just work harder than them initially. You get the money, they don't. It's really like that. It's that simple. You can roll up your sleeves and actually do the work and actually understand that whoever is going to make this money, it's not going to be everybody in our niche. It's going to be some people, and it's going to be the people who have better ads and all that that's better than their competition and giving the customers that they're trying to get what they want better than the competition. Because if you want to distill it all down to one thing, that's really what you're doing with all of this. I mentioned if you watched to the end of the video, I would have an actual example here of where somebody had reached out to us thinking that they want to hire a consultant. Then later on, they realized the consulting isn't the right way to go, which is very common at our firm here, which is why I wanted to make this video. We had somebody that reached out that wanted to hire for consulting. Typical thing, they thought the consulting should be cheaper than what it is because, hey, there's other people charging not very much for consulting. Why are you so much? Why? Oh, you're so arrogant to charge that much, like $500 an hour basically, close to $500 an hour for an hour of consulting when other people will do it for $200 or $150 or whatever, which, frankly, that was the rate 10 years ago. And for some reason, they think the rates are never going to go up or whatever. Anyway, so with that said, it was an e-commerce company. They're running ads, shopping ads, text ads, weren't profitable. Client needed to get to a 4-to-1 return on their ad spend. Tracking wasn't working the best. They didn't even know that they needed to get to a 4-to-1, which is, like I mentioned, typical. Most people don't even know what their campaign's supposed to do when they start it up. They just expect their bank account to explode. And if it doesn't, oh, it's not working, whatever. So the real return was less than a 1 ROAS. So less than $1 of return for every dollar that they're spending on ads, which is nowhere near sustainable for that business or any other business for that matter out there. What we did is I said, I can tell you on a basic level what I would do here, but until you understand all the stuff I know about running this campaign successfully, it's not going to work. What you need to really do is just hire us outright. I will give you the information. If you want to try to run with it, you can, but the real money is in the real expert handling it over, full time, if you will. I gave them the information. They basically made almost no more money from it. We're talking still under a 1 ROAS or return on investment on their ads. Why? Because went ahead and adjusted their target ROAS in their shopping campaign and set up smart bidding on their search campaigns. They didn't get their tracking set up correctly because that's also in itself kind of tricky. They didn't understand how to use negative keywords on their campaigns effectively. Just saying that to somebody doesn't give them the true information that they need. And they just didn't get anywhere. Once they finally took my advice after trying it themselves, not getting it anywhere, I went in there and literally within 60 days, we had the thing up to a 4-to-1 ROAS already. Why? Because I understood just how to set up the tracking, and we got rid of the search campaign altogether because I was saying, hey, shopping campaigns getting more results. We'll come back to the search campaigns. Search campaigns are definitely profitable, but a lot of times you should focus on one thing, not two, when you're starting out and you don't have a huge budget, and until the results on the one slow down, you don't do the other. And then slowly understanding how to take the target ROAS in that shopping campaign and increase it, not too much, but not too little at a time. Not only that, okay, but the budget on the campaign. We set it to the 4.0 ROAS that we needed from the account fairly soon in the process. When you raise the budget on a campaign too quickly, the ROAS is going to go under a 4. The goal is to get the ads to scale as much as possible while maintaining the 4 ROAS. I understood from our experience to slowly raise that ad budget. Not if Google says you can spend $200 a day versus the $100 you're spending now, what you should really do is spend it to go to $150 because it's going to increase the sales while maintaining the 4 ROAS versus if you went straight to the $200, the ROAS would have went down to like a 3 for a while until it came back. So if you can take a loss for a while, you'll get to your end goal sooner. But if you need to have a certain ROAS to build up your company to have money for operations and product ordering and whatnot, then you go less aggressive with your budget increase. Because everybody wants to get rich right away with the ads. They want that one ad that they can run and they'll be a freaking millionaire right away. And with machine learning and campaigns and how much of your results is predicated on past history of your ads running and the algorithm that Google has to see what works and what doesn't work for your business uniquely, it's a process of running the ads a little bit, getting results, running them a little bit more, and doing that and making micro increases like that over years to get to the big result where you're spending $200,000 a month, not $1,000 a month, and making millions of dollars a year in sales and not rushing the process. We were getting that 4.0 ROAS. In that 60 days, we started out with about 25 bucks a day and got it up to 100 bucks a day at a 4 ROAS. So 400 bucks in sales, and we did that in roughly 60 days from the time that I took that account over. If you, by the way, want proof of this, reach out to me at my agency and I'll gladly show it to you. The client that I'm talking about here isn't gonna care. If you want to know what it really takes to get these results, I'll show you some examples like that. Basically speaking, a consultant isn't gonna be the key answer to it all. They can give you where a PPC consultant does come in and can be helpful to you, because I mentioned they're not totally useless or worthless. It's where you already have results, you have some basic PPC knowledge of your own, and you're wondering, out of these 3 or 4 things that I can do, which one is likely to be the best way to go? And they can tell you from their experience, okay, usually this one will usually work better than this, this, and this. You do it, and you have enough PPC knowledge to see it through mostly on your own. If you're a novice PPC person, that advice is almost completely worthless, if you will. Just to lay it all out there for you, frankly. With that said, that gives you your case study that I mentioned, or I promised I would give you here. If you know what you're doing, you can be very profitable very quickly, versus if you don't know what you're doing, you can just spin your tires needlessly. The guy with the 4 ROAS that was profitable like that, by the way, I admit it was a little bit easier because it was an account we were optimizing not in the US, which if you want a growth hack, if there is one, sell your products outside the US in the UK or Australia or Canada, particularly UK or Australia, because it's usually cost per click is half and there's less competition. You'll convert at a higher rate and it's way easier than marketing to people in the US. Start there. And that's kind of the advantage we had there. But still, I mean, being able to that was just the knowledge of understanding exactly how to adjust this campaign on a weekly basis to walk the results up predictably was all the difference between that, telling them the exact campaign to run and how to run it, versus the guy who could make a change and a change and a change and a change on a campaign. Was all the difference between getting the one result, which is totally not profitable, and getting really good results within 60 days already. So with that said, I'll wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said search campaign was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.